Happy Summerween, day 2 guys. It is Saturday morning. I am participating in some Summerween reading sprints that Gabby is doing on her channel. So I'm gonna start that. I grabbed a snack because I'm kind of hungry, and let's see, I'm gonna give you a quick update from what I read last night. I did not make any more progress on 15 Minutes of Flame, but I will give you an update later on today about that. But I did start The House in the Pines by Reyes, and so far so good. I am on chapter 10, 79 pages in, and I'm really enjoying this. I think Maya is a really interesting character. I think she has a lot of layers to her. My heart goes out to her. She's really very much struggling with her mental health, so just a heads up on that. If that is a topic you're very sensitive about, you might want to look up, you might want to consider that before we're going into this. But Maya is a really interesting character. She has returned back home now. It's really interesting to see the dynamic between her and her mom. Her mom is actually trained as a paramedic, so it's really interesting to see her mom's thoughts on certain things because of her experience in the medical field. So I'm really enjoying that. The writing style is really good. I'm finding I really flew through this last night. I was only planning on reading maybe like 30-40 pages before bed because I was really tired, but I found myself pushing through the next chapter, then the next chapter, then the next chapter, because I just wanted to keep reading it until I finally was like, okay, you need to sleep. You're falling asleep here. So far this has been really good. I like the writing style. I think, we're moving along quickly enough in the plot. I'm enjoying the characters enough. I don't know if Maya's like an all-time favorite character of mine, but I do find her fairly relatable. I find her, like I said, my heart goes out to her. She's in such a difficult position with a lot of this, so I find her to be an interesting character. I'm enjoying some of the other side characters, and the more I learn about the mystery of how, because Maya's theory is that Frank is somehow responsible for both her friend's death and then this woman today, just by talking to them, and they somehow just drop dead, and there's just no explanation. Like with her friend's case, they just declared her as like, her cause of death was just like sudden death, which is typically, I guess, like a heart, just like a random heart issue that kills you. Like there's no, it's like an unexplained death basically, but it's supposed to be natural. So she doesn't know how to get around that, as the report says, but she's trying to figure out how her friend could have been killed and not actually died naturally, if that makes sense. So it's very interesting. I don't know. I have no idea if that is the case. If her friend and this woman were killed by him, I have no idea how he would have done it. I have absolutely no theory right now. So that's kind of interesting, being this far into it and having no real theory about the plot and like the ending. I don't know where this book is going, but I'm definitely intrigued. So far we're in a good place with this. I'm gonna go ahead and do some snacking and enjoy this during the reading sprint. I did start my Clue mystery guide here, and I'm doing pretty well. I've done some of the weekday crossword puzzles with White here. Really enjoying that one. I loved the logic puzzle by Green. I thought that was really fun. I am struggling with Peacock though, because she has the type of game where you have 2 pictures of the same room and there's like 7 things you have to find that are different between the 2 rooms, and right now I'm stuck at 6. I've been stuck at 6 for an hour, and I keep glancing at it occasionally hoping something will pop out at me. I can't find number 7. It's driving me a little crazy, but I will figure out where the 7th difference between these 2 rooms is. It's driving me crazy. So that is my update on Clue being driven a little crazy, but we're gonna go and hop into a book. I think I'm gonna start with The House in the Pines just because I'm on a kick with that from last night, and I just have no theory or clue. I don't know where this book is going, so I'm fascinated. Let's get into it. Okay, so we've made some really good progress on The House in the Pines. I'm 200 pages in, so just about 2/3 of the way through the book. It's definitely more of a slow burn thriller. It's only very recently that I feel like it's really picked up, but in general it's going well. I don't know about this one. I'm simultaneously very intrigued. I'm still very much on the edge of my seat trying to figure out what is happening. But I'm also really confused by a lot of things, and I think that's partially because Maya, as like the synopsis for this book says, you know, she's dealing with a secret addiction. So during this book she is going through it. She's really having like withdrawals, a lot of issues, and there's parts of the book where I don't know if she's hallucinating, if she's like, you're really confused about whether or not Maya is reliable at all with the story she's telling. And you're also having these flashbacks to her life leading up to her friend Audrey's death, so when she is 17. So that's been filling in some gaps. It's interesting to see the incorporation with her father's manuscript that she's reading throughout this is very unique. I'm not sure how it's going to end. I'm hoping it'll come together really well, but right now it's kind of odd. I don't know. I'm enjoying the writing style. I think the writing itself is really nice and like has a nice cadence to it. It's describes enough, but it's not overly descriptive. It's pretty quick. The chapters are all short, so you're flying through chapters pretty quickly when you're reading this, which I like. I think it helps with the pacing, but I don't know how I feel about this. If you are somebody who really likes a thriller that gets like really intense quickly, where you're having those like big thrills and kicks fast, this probably won't be it for you, but so far it is more slow burn, very character driven. We're definitely building a lot of suspense, so I still think it is like a true thriller as far as I can tell, not like some of the books I've read recently where I was like, this was mislabeled as a thriller in my opinion. So I like it. I'm still feeling very sympathetic for Maya. I'm feeling very confused for Maya. I have no idea where this thriller is going. I do not know how this thriller is going to end. I have no solid theory, because every time I think of a theory, it gets shot down immediately or it doesn't make sense with something we've already learned. So I have no idea where this is going, but we're going to keep reading. I'm still doing some reading sprints and enjoying it, and we're just going to keep reading. Wow, wow, wow. I'm at a loss for words. I just finished this book a couple of minutes ago and I've been trying to collect my thoughts, and wow, I didn't see this ending coming. I'm looking back and I'm like, how did I like this? I could have put this together, but I didn't. The ending was really dramatic, really like terrifying. Like my heart was beating so fast, and the explanation in all of this was terrifying. It's something that I'm personally very scared of, so reading about it and that being like the explanation was horrifying. I was just sitting there like, no, they didn't, we're going there, and I was like, no, 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 no. Like, this topic is one that absolutely terrifies me. If you've read this book, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I was just like, this is scary, very scary, very, like, my heart still feels like it's beating very fast. So well done. This was a really good thriller. I will say definitely slow burn. You have to be patient with this one, but I think the payoff was worth it. I mean, I'm flummoxed right now. Like, my head is still like spinning with possibilities. I do like that the author took time to really wrap the story up, because there's been a few stories recently that I've read where I've been burned because they didn't really wrap anything up at the end. It was just like, oh, here's the ending, boom, and like you don't know what happens to the characters, and that bothers me. You know, I mean, I'm reading a thriller for the thrills, but I still want to know what happens to the characters. Like, do they move on with their lives? Like, how, you know, what happens to them after the big reveal, the big ending? I want to know. And I like that there was some, you know, like there was some closure. I really appreciated that. I really liked the ending. It made everything a little more palatable after my heart was beating so fast, and this was just, wow. I'm thinking at least a 4.5, which if I had said that like an hour or two ago when I was reading this, I was kind of feeling more like a 3, because like I said, it was slow going at first, and I liked the writing style. I liked the main character Maya, so that definitely helped, but it's definitely like slow, so just keep that in mind. It is a thriller, definitely, like it crosses off those boxes for me, but it's a slow burn thriller. Like, you do have to be patient with this. If you're looking to get into the meat of like a dangerous situation within the first 50 pages, this is absolutely not going to be the read for you. But if you like a very character driven story, I think you'll like this. This was really good. I don't know how I didn't see the ending coming. I feel If you've read this, did you catch it? Did you call it? Because I don't know how I didn't. Like, it makes so much sense, and I love that. It's so satisfying, because I personally hate when an author or, you know, a movie, like any type of storytelling will just suddenly go off in some crazy direction just for shock value, but it doesn't make sense. I hate that. I can't stand that. That's one of my least favorite tropes ever. I would rather be slightly less surprised by an ending, but it makes sense. And this one delivered on both ends, where I was highly surprised and it made sense. It made perfect sense. And I now feel like I need to go down a Google rabbit hole, because I'm really curious to learn more, even though the book did a good job of explaining everything necessary to the plot, but I want to know more. This could be a 5-star. I don't know. I'm going to let this settle. But 4.5 minimum. This was really good. My head is just spinning. And I think Riley Sager on the front described it as powerfully eerie and atmospheric. I think that's a really good explanation. This is definitely very atmospheric. It feels very heavy. Like, the more I was reading this, the more it felt like something was pushing down on my shoulders. Like, I was like, this pressure just and suspense was just building up on me, and like I could feel it in my body as I was reading it, because I was just so on edge and unnerved, and I just knew something was coming, and it came, and it went hard. So I'm really impressed. I'm really excited, and this is a debut thriller. Now, I did look at the author bio, and it says that she, Anna Reyes, she teaches creative writing at Santa Monica College, and this is her first novel. I mean, I know if you're teaching creative writing, you know, you've probably gone through a degree for that, or you have written a lot of creative stories, I would imagine. So I'm sure, even though she hasn't published work before, she probably has written a lot of stories, but wow, this is a really good debut. I'm so impressed. So again, if you're okay with a little bit more of a slow burn and a highly like suspenseful read, I would say this is a good pick. It was just such a satisfying ending. I'm so pleased with the payoff for this, especially because about halfway through I was feeling like, oh, like I was lagging a little bit. I wanted a little something more, but about the two-thirds or so mark, it just went whew. So really good read, very fascinating, it really makes you think. Definitely, if you don't want to read something that heavily focuses on mental health or substance abuse, keep that in mind. This book deals with those topics a lot, because our main character is struggling with substance abuse, like the synopsis says, so that's definitely a big component. If you do not want to read about that, keep that in mind, but otherwise, this was really good. I'm so impressed. And the thing that was nice about this too is a lot of thrillers become very violent, you know, for the thrills. This one really wasn't very graphic in any way. I mean, it dealt with a lot of hard topics, but it wasn't brutally graphic in any way, which was nice. It was just it just messed with you in a really good way. So I really appreciate this book. I like this. I'm thinking 4.5, maybe 5 stars. I'm gonna let it settle a little bit. I'm going to keep reading 15 Minutes of Flame, and I'll give you guys an update later. Good morning, guys, and happy Summerween Day 3. I am really excited to be giving you guys an update. We have some good and bad news, and I thought I'd just put on some makeup for this morning, or for this whole day really, but I thought I'd take you along as I put on a bit of makeup and we can chat about that. And I have 2 different books to give you guys updates on, so let's hop into it. So first and foremost, I did finish 15 Minutes of Flame by Kristen Brecher. This is the Nantucket Candlemaker mystery, book 3 in the series. It looks like this is the last book in this series, because this book came out in 2020 and I'm not seeing any release notifications for a 4th book. So I think it might just be like a 3-book series from what I can tell. So basic thoughts on it. It wasn't my favorite. I'm gonna just start with that. I'm still kind of debating on a star rating for it, but basically we had Stella, our main character. She's the one who runs the Nantucket Candle shop. She is the one who kind of gets into all sorts of trouble. She's helping her friend who's recently inherited this house, and it's like a really old, like, historical house, and there's a shack in the back of the house that maybe used to be someone's home, it sounds like, and they find the skeletal remains of a Quaker woman in there, and that kind of starts the whole mystery. nothing, you know, nothing too abnormal there. I was enjoying the first maybe like 100 pages or so of the book, but I just found myself getting really bored kind of in the middle. Like it wasn't like nothing was happening, but I just didn't like the writing style. I think that's what my issue was, because I liked Stella as a character, but I didn't really care about anyone else in the story. I liked Stella, I liked her cat. Her cat is adorable, and I found out from you guys her cat is a tuxedo cat, so thank you very much for that update. But I just wasn't pulled in by the writing style, and I don't think there was anything necessarily wrong with the writing style. Like there wasn't, I don't want it to come across like that. It just didn't personally, it wasn't my favorite personally. Like everyone has different writing styles and, like, you know, just things they like to read, and I just didn't love this. And the more I think about why I didn't like the writing style, the more I can't figure out why I didn't like it, because again, I don't feel like it was too descriptive where you were just sitting there forever going over the same details. I don't think it was, I just don't know. I just couldn't focus on the writing style. I was having a really hard time like just focusing. I found myself like wanting to kind of skim through things just to get to the next plot point, but I don't feel like it took much longer than like your typical cozy to get into anything, and if anything we got into the mystery pretty quickly. So I really can't say exactly what the writing style, why we didn't connect, but we didn't. I don't know, I feel like I didn't, normally, you know, when someone dies in a cozy mystery, I feel like sympathy for their family or their spouse or, you know, whoever, the important people in their life, right? But in this case, I didn't. I just didn't feel this sympathy. I just didn't really feel connected to the story, I would say. I did finish the book, and I mean, I think the ending was solid. I think it was a good wrap up. I mean, everything made sense. There were clues left behind. It's not like there was any like major plot holes or anything that ruined it for me in that way. I just wasn't really that interested or connected to the writing style or the characters. So I finished that book this morning, and that was kind of a disappointing start to the morning, I'll have to say. I was kind of like, oh, you know, didn't get me off to the great start. I did really like reading about the candles and just the town's history. That was interesting. And it was just nice to have some of that local color from Nantucket, because I've personally never been over to the East Coast, so it just sounds really beautiful. I've heard, you know, just seeing the pictures of like the local, like the fall foliage and everything, and thinking about that while I was reading definitely made this more enjoyable. I feel like the series was meant to continue as well, because the ending kind of left you with some questions about some of like the personal like subplots for the story. Like the mystery wrapped up, but some of the subplots for the series. So I feel like maybe I don't know if it got canceled or something. I'm not sure. I looked it up on Goodreads, and it looked like this book had less than 1,000 reviews, so it wasn't, I would say it wasn't like an extremely popular book series maybe, but I don't know. It just wasn't my favorite. Let me know if you've read this one, what you thought. I thought, like I said, you know, the Halloween themes was nice. I think there were just some unbelievable scenes with Stella where she pushed the limits as an amateur sleuth but didn't get in trouble for it. I don't want to say too much specifically, but there was just some scenes where she's like sneaking around the police and stuff, and it just seemed completely unrealistic that she would have gotten away with the things she did. And I know a lot of mysteries use the, you know, like the cops who aren't paying attention trope, or the cops who are just really can't see something right in front of their face, you know, so the amateur sleuth can solve it kind of trope, but this felt a little too much even for me. So that was kind of basic thoughts on that. I think I'm gonna have to give it 2 stars. I liked the character, I liked the seasonality and like the general theme for the series with the candle making was really cool, but I just found myself pretty bored during it, found myself lagging. It definitely kind of slowed down my reading for this weekend, unfortunately, because I kept going, okay, let's just try, you know, keep going, but I just, no, wasn't for me. Okay, so to get myself back on a good start, I picked up The Fatal Fudge Swirl by Mary Allen. This is book 3 in the Ice Cream Shop mystery series, and I'm so excited. So just gorgeous cover. I will briefly touch again on the plot. I know I did in my first vlog for Summerween. I'll link that above if you haven't watched it. But basically we have our main character, Riley Rhodes. She's a travel food blogger and ex-librarian for the CIA. So she's still like an amateur sleuth character, but she's got maybe a little more insight than the average person because of that background. And now she's working at this ice cream shop her friend Caroline owns in, I think it's Penniman? Yeah, Penniman, Connecticut. So again, really beautiful place to have like a fall story take place. And I love this. So far I'm only 30 pages in, but I already feel so much more connected to not just Riley because I've read the previous books, but also new characters that are being introduced for this mystery. I already feel so much more interested in them and their lives and, you know, what's going to happen when things unfold. So I'm already more excited about that. I'm also loving hearing about the details for this Halloween wedding. Former child star Cooper Collins is overseeing the production of a romantic comedy that's filming on the town green, and his domineering socialite mother, Diantha, is planning her lavish Halloween-themed wedding at her inn on the green. And so her fiance, Diantha's fiance, has been running the inn for a long time with his previous wife, his now ex-wife, Mary, who's a friend of Riley's. So I think I got all of that right. So a little bit of a messy connection there. I'm already loving the details. They're having an ice cream cake for their wedding. How fun is that? Now I wonder how long an ice cream cake can sit out though, because if you have to, like, you know, you have the cake out, you take the photos of like the bride and the groom, or, you know, cutting the cake and everything, and I'm wondering how long that can sit out. Okay, but regardless, fun theme, fun wedding. I just finished reading a scene where they were handing out candy at the inn and everyone's in costumes, and I loved hearing about the costumes. Diantha is a very striking character, I would say, the way she's described, and she definitely sounds like maybe a bit of a diva, and I'm really enjoying hearing about her like makeup and costume choices and all of that, because that stuff's always fun to me. Okay, so that is the finished look. I really like how it came out, and I'm in my very comfy, like cozy kind of like hoodie dress that I got from Costco last year, and I really love it. It's very cozy. I thought it'd be perfect for Summerween, and yeah, I'm really excited for this. We're basically gearing up for Riley to help out at the wedding last minute, and the inn that the wedding is taking place at, it's like this luxurious like 5-star inn, and the joke that she had just made recently was that people know this inn as like the place where like rich husbands take their mistresses, basically. So it sounds like it's a pretty glamorous place. I'm really excited to see some more wedding details unfold. I can't get over how adorable this cover is. Honestly, the cover illustration looks like it's by Mary Ann Lasher, and she did a fabulous job. I mean, I love the other covers in the series, but this one takes the cake. So I'm very, very excited to read more about this. Like I said, I'm only 30 pages in, but I'm already so much more like into the story and the characters for this one. So I just really love Mary Allen's writing style. I really connect with it, and I'm excited to see more, so I'll give you guys some updates on this later. I'm also hoping to start the Golden Spoon today, and then I also have some Sunday tasks I'll take you along with. I'm gonna set up my planner for the week. Got some like meal planning, prepping, some stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna prep a loaf of bread or something tonight. We'll see. I'll take you along with whatever I do, and let's go ahead and hop into it. guys, quick update. So I am reading this afternoon and I've made a little more progress on Fatal Fudge Swirl and I'm really enjoying it. It's going really well. However, I'm going to put it aside to finish reading this evening probably because it is super cozy and I think that'll be a nice cozy way to end Sunday. And I picked up the Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell. For some reason I thought this was a thriller, but it's actually a whodunit. But it is a little bit darker than like an average cozy mystery is, so I thought this would be good to knock out earlier in the day since I'm a fraidy cat. And this is really good. I love this book so far. The quote on the front about how it's a combination of Clue and the Great British Bake Off is spot on. So we have 6 different contestants, just like the Clue board game. We have a big estate, a big manor. Each of them is very... It's like they're caricatures, but in a good way. I'm not quite sure how to put that, but they're very much like the Clue characters where each of them has a very distinct kind of personality and style, but these characters are very well developed. They all are having these emerging stories of their own coming out, like different backstories, different histories, different motivations, and I'm really enjoying that. The manor itself is super like atmospheric and windy, and there's even a room with like a billiard table and everything, just like the Clue. There's a scene where all of the contestants are sitting around a fireplace, so it's very much nailing the atmospheric element, and then the descriptions and like the baking contest part are really enjoyable. I'm so enjoying that. So far this has been a knockout. I am currently on page 184, so a little over halfway right now, and the mystery has really heated up. This is definitely more of a classic mystery versus a cozy mystery or a thriller. You do have a prologue that starts you off with kind of an idea of some bigger event that'll happen later on, but you definitely, it's definitely like a building mystery, very much like Clue. It feels like that, and I'm really enjoying that. And the characters are great. I'm really enjoying learning more about Betsy. She is the host of the Bake Show, and she is a very interesting character, and I'm really interested in learning more about her history because the Bake Off show is filmed on her family's estate. So she's no longer married and her family doesn't appear to be around. It's just her that lives there. But there seems to be a lot of family history there, and we're learning bits and pieces of that as we go, which I'm really enjoying. I'm also really surprised at how some of the characters, my opinions on them have flip-flopped really dramatically. There was 2 characters who initially when I was reading their parts, I was kind of like, oh, I don't really care for them, or they're fine, you know? But now I'm like so invested in their storylines and really interested in them because of different things, like ways they've responded to different events. And then there's other characters, there's 2 I'm thinking of in particular who I really liked initially, but now I'm like, oh. So I'm enjoying having my opinions of the characters tossed and turned around like that. I'm excited to see where they'll end up and what the big event at the end will be and how everything's going to wrap up. So yeah, this is definitely a really enjoyable read. I'm hoping to finish this before dinner tonight. I'm on track to do so, and then I'm going to switch back to Fatal Fudge Swirl and give that a really good read tonight. This is an absolute yes for me, guys. This was fantastic. I just finished this. This is 5 stars. Easy. Like, I don't even have to think about this one. I love the ending for this in every way possible. I thought I had a really good wrap up too. I like it when an author takes time to kind of do a little bit of a wrap up after the big, you know, reveal or something in a murder mystery or thriller. It's a pet peeve of mine when it just like ends abruptly. So the wrap up for this was excellent. The character resolutions and like where they're at and just everything that happened, so satisfying. I love the wrap up. There was such a good mystery in this. Absolutely. If this sounds interesting to you in any way, if you like a whodunit, this is great. For those of you that are cozy readers, I would say this isn't super graphic. It's not, like, it wouldn't be classified as a cozy mystery because you're not really following around like amateur sleuths, really. It's not the way that it's written, but it's definitely on the cozy side for a mystery. Like, there's nothing really too graphic about this. I would say there's some like, you know, it's a murder mystery, of course there's some dark themes in it, but there's nothing super graphic in this, so it is overall like a fairly clean mystery, I would say, in terms of violence or like other things. It's pretty chill or anything bad happens behind like closed door, that kind of thing. So overall, just fantastic. This absolutely gives Clue vibes in so many ways. I love it. I love the characters. By the end of this, I was just sympathetic and loving every single character in this, even, you know, like the characters you're not supposed to maybe love as much because maybe they are, you know, they've done something. I still love them. Like, I love all of them. I think the author had such great character development for like all of them through this too. Like, they really are all changed in one way or another by the end in pretty significant ways, and I love that and appreciate that. This was, just read it. If this sounds interesting to you at all, read it. Also, the descriptions were so good for this. I had to eat something sweet while I was reading this because it was just so good and delicious. They had different rounds for the baking, and there was like a bread round, a cake round, a pie round. I was just like, oh. And hearing about the contestants' different takes and versions of what they wanted to do for those, I was so hungry. But this was wholly enjoyable. I strongly recommend this. I know it's July, but this could be like in my top 23 of 2023. Like, it's really, this is a good contender. I really like this. Okay, so that is my thoughts on that. I'm gonna go ahead and jump back into Fatal Fudge Swirl. This reading vlog has been going really well. So far, we really just had one kind of disappointment. It was 15 minutes of flame. But everything else so far has been 4 or 5-star reads, and I anticipate Fatal Fudge Swirl will probably be in that category too, just because of how much I love the first 2 books in the series and how it's going so far. So yeah, this is good. I feel so elated right now over the Golden Spoon. And this is this author's debut novel. Please write more like this. Please. I absolutely loved this. I'm just so thrilled with how Summerween is going so far. Let me know if you are reading, if you're participating in the Summerween readathon or not. Just tell me what you're reading right now. I always love to hear what you guys are reading, and I'll see you guys in my next one.